The Relief Valve podcast. We're going to get this started a little early. I said 7 o'clock, but we've had a busy day, and I just want to get straight to the show here. So I got what's left of my evening. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Relief Valve podcast. As the banner tells you, due to baby chickens being born, that was a reason I couldn't do yesterday's show for updates on the hurricane. That was the first little one that hatched right there in the incubator. We had 5 eggs in there. All 5 did hatch. This was our first time we let the moms do it naturally in the coop before. So they sat on them, they raised them, and then they hung out with them. But when they're overwhelmed with a little too many eggs, they tend to kick the other ones out of the way, and then they focus on like 3 or 4, depending on each mom. So last time we had to bring them inside, and it was kind of a hit and miss thing. We didn't have an incubator. This time we did it right, and we bought it, and there's one little baby that fought her way out. And then we've got 5 now, but here's some of the video here of them.
All of you chickadees, all of you little babies. Hello. Hello.
So they're in their brooder now, food and water and staying warm.
Yeah. I gotta show all my listeners why I wasn't on tonight. Because all of you babies were born back to back to back. You all hatched in the incubator.
They all, one started and they hear the peeping and they all started popping.
Yeah, my little sweethearts. One more sister to go.
That was the end of it. Oh, I think that was this one. Yeah, they're all just chilling in here. I think it's
all of you chickadees.
Yeah. All of you chickadees. I talked to them outside. Chickadees, and they all pop their heads out of the coop and come walking over. So, all right. So, Hurricane Milton, it ended up being quite the mess. I'm a little late to the draw here because of the babies being born, and we have to set them up. But we had Hurricane Milton carves a deadly path through Florida and millions without power. I think some of that at this point is being restored slowly but surely. Hurricane Milton moved off Florida's east coast early Thursday morning after making landfall as a Category 3 storm around Tampa late Wednesday evening. A dangerous storm caused widespread power outages affecting over 3 million customers. So the fast facts are Hurricane Milton made landfall near Siesta Key, Florida late Wednesday evening as a Category 3 storm with winds of 120 miles an hour. 3.2 million people in Florida at the time of this article were without power. Milton is currently a Category 1 storm and has moved off now that it's done its thing, bringing destructive winds, flooding rains, and storm surge in its wake. More than 10 inches of rain has fallen so far in some parts of Florida at that time, an additional 8 to 12. St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson also confirmed to Fox Weather there have been 17 tornadoes. I was watching it live with one of those pages on YouTube that does follows a storm trend. They even got storm chasers on the ground that work with them, and they were doing it. And just the emergency calls for tornadoes were crazy. At least 11 fatalities have been confirmed, with more expected. Since landfall, 999 landfalls and 105 animals have been rescued by urban search and rescue teams and the Florida National Guard. So that's good. The Coast Guard announced that the ports are reopening and impacted communities exercise caution. Milton made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane on the Gulf Coast of Florida and re-strengthened in the Atlantic Ocean after crossing the peninsula. In a release statement, the Coast Guard said the extent of the damage to impacted areas is still being assessed by federal, state, and local emergency responders. In Florida, Key West, Port Everglades, Port Miami, and the Miami River have reopened, according to the press release. Brunswick and Savannah ports in Georgia have also reopened, as well as Charleston and Georgetown in South Carolina. The Coast Guard is also reminding residents in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina to remain vigilant. Updated port condition changes will be available on the Homeport website, announced on an official unit social media pages throughout the 7th Coast Guard District, the Coast Guard said. So let's get a little bit of an update here with, I think this was damage. I think this is the day of. So this was yesterday. So they've got people. These are residents of Tampa and the surrounding areas sending in the photos of the damage in their areas, and they're reading off the people's names and where they're at as they go. So you'll see the Tampa Bay Stadium has been taken out. Part of the roof has been ripped off. They're going to be getting to that in the second year. There's a roof at Tropicana Field.
So we'll just get the word from the governor here as he was talking to everybody about the cleanup efforts and stuff, and then we'll kind of move on. Somebody else was saying on the chat that 116 tornado warnings, as per the governor's office, had gone off throughout the day through that storm. So it was crazy.
Look at that beast. The radar shows a storm moving off east. They have another one brewing that could be coming, but not necessarily as strong as Milton and Helene. All right, so they're just showing a lot more of the damage in the area. The hurricane was not as bad as they thought. They were doing mandatory evacuations in the area, and I guess one of the thought processes of the reason they were doing the emergency evacuations is because there was a Category 4 that happened at some point, and they didn't do mandatory evacuations. They just said, hunker down, get through the storm, and it ended up being worse than they thought. More people affected, and and some lives lost in it as well. So this time, with Milton being 5 when it was out on the ocean and 3 when it hit Florida, they didn't want to take any chances this time, and they wanted to be better safe than sorry. So they pushed for these mandatory evacuations and getting people into safe areas. So I'll show you some of the video I got of people escaping Tampa. It's crazy. This is a traffic cam. Hold on for the shit commercial. Amazon hates this. No, they don't. They probably sell the fucking thing. So this is a traffic cam. We're not going to have any sound, but traffic was bumper to bumper. I was getting reports at the time that, as I'm sure a lot of you heard, that gas stations were running out of gas. People being stuck in traffic were running out of gas, trying to flee Tampa. So, I mean, it's a catch-22 because you wanted to be better safe than sorry. So you put this mass evacuation in, and the fear porn that the media does, told everybody, get the hell out of there. You're not going to survive, yada, yada. And then it ends up being not as bad as you thought. So, it's a tough area you're in when that happens. They're going to say, well, we did what we had to, it was better safe than sorry. And that's what we were going for. And, and some people got trapped or inconvenienced or whatever, but you didn't know what was going to happen. So getting into that area was like free sailing right there. You were good. Everyone escaping. I mean, look at this. It looks like it's moving a little bit here, but I got initial reports when it was happening that, it was bumper to bumper, barely moving. You were stuck for an hour at a time or more on one little section of the highway, and people didn't even have enough gas to get around, so they were running out of gas right on the highway. So this was everybody escaping before the storm hit. It was on its way. That was a pretty crazy scene and reports to get about that. So gained intensity as Florida residents prepare for life-threatening impacts. Milton now Category 5. Again, this is when it was first hitting. It was Category 5. As it came in and it got to shore, it was downgraded to like a Category 3. The brakes got thrown on it pretty quickly. All right, so I just wanted to touch on a little bit of that. I know you've heard a lot about it. I know you've probably gotten a lot of news about it. I'm a couple days late on it again with the baby chicks hatching that I showed you at the beginning of the show, that I couldn't do it the very next day after it had hit. But some of the storm chaser views online was kind of cool to see. They're driving around and checking out what's happening in real time while it was going. That was cool. I would encourage you to find those guys if you see the big storms and check out what they've got going on. So as far as Helene relief, you had the story going around that a National Guard helicopter destroys a hurricane relief team's gear and injures 3. So you remember hearing when you were online, this mysterious Black Hawk shows up. gets them all stuck in, flies right over their camp, hits them with rotor wash, and knocks a couple people down and scatters their supplies everywhere. A disaster recovery team director recently claimed that a National Guard Chinook helicopter flew way too low to the ground near the team's project in North Carolina, reportedly resulting in 3 employees being hospitalized and over 100,000 in damages. The report comes as the Biden-Harris administration is facing criticism over its response to Hurricane Helene. In a now deleted post on LinkedIn, Corey Roger Capps, director of Large Loss Servo Pro Disaster Recovery Team, said, "Well, I've debated if I should share this or not, but Friday, our team and man camp took a huge hit. A National Guard Chinook helicopter was landing next to our project, like the other 100 helicopters we've seen this week, and they decided to buzz the tower, if you will, coming in way too low and destroying all of our tents, awnings, and lunch, and damaging multiple trucks, trailers, campers, and more." Capes claimed that the disaster recovery team had to send 3 of its employees to the hospital and that the team's campers and gear sustained over 100,000 in damages. When confronting the senior officer in charge, we were basically told, "Oops, our bad, and see ya," Capps wrote. "I asked for names and was told to kick rocks. All I had was a tail number from the aircraft. Thankfully, my father, who was retired military, knew who to call immediately. Within 30 minutes, the National Guard and the FAA contacted me, and a public affairs officer stopped by our site later to apologize and give me the information to file a complaint and claim." Commenting on the government's response to Hurricane Helene, Capps said, "So for all you out there still spreading misinformation about the lack of military response, unfortunately for us, they are here." The disaster recovery team director said that while the recent incident does not change how he feels about the military and the National Guard or his immense respect for the U.S. service members, the National Guard knew they messed up big time. In his post on LinkedIn, Capps said the 3 disaster recovery crew members had been released from the hospital and only one of the employees had a serious injury. Pretty sure the whole camp has a little PTSD each time another aircraft comes in low to land now. We're going strong and we're doing everything possible to get this client operational again. Somebody they tried deleting this, but here's a video apparently of the helicopter coming in and hitting them with the wall. All right, we don't need the game music. So it comes in real low instead of heading to the LZ and hits the camp. I just kicked the sound off because you don't want this stupid music. It's not doing anyone any favors. I hate when they do that. They apply music that isn't relevant. It doesn't go with the video at all. It's ridiculous. They're showing you some of the damage from the helicopter. Now, I don't know that this is the same one. I go to my X account. There was another camp, I thought, that had a Black Hawk helicopter. It was all black. Couldn't see the pilots. Their faces were covered, and they flew over the camp, did damage, and then they had 3 dark vehicles, SUVs, drive around their camp as well. See, that one was a Chinook. This is something different. This is a Black Hawk. Video: a mysterious helicopter damages a hurricane relief site after a strange SUV slow roll report. Well, this is a different camp. All right, you going to give me a story here, or are you going to? All right, this is also American military news. Mysterious helicopter damages hurricane relief site after strange SUV slow roll. So, this was going all over X as well. A viral video appears to show a hurricane disaster relief site in North Carolina being damaged by an unmarked Black Hawk helicopter deliberate rotor wash. According to a video shared on TikTok, the helicopter incident took place on Sunday as people gathered supplies to distribute to Hurricane Helene victims at a parking lot in Burnsville, North Carolina. The video shows the mysterious helicopter hovering above the parking lot as volunteers collect supplies for hurricane victims. In a caption accompanying the video, the TikTok user wrote, "This afternoon, an unmarked military-style helo flies into the local distribution area and rotor washes and destroys supplies in Burnsville, North Carolina." The TikTok user noted that helicopters were not supposed to land near the hurricane disaster relief site, saying, "We had a meeting with all the parties involved at the site and established a no-fly, no-drop zone hours before, and had sent crews to resupply helos at another area. This was not one of our helos," they say. Despite the designation as no-fly zone, the video shows a Black Hawk helicopter hovering over the relief site for a considerable amount of time. The TikTok user explained the relief site volunteers used signals to dissuade the identified pilots from landing. The TikTok user added, "Then they dipped down and performed a rotor wash, which seemed deliberate, then flew off, destroying a lot of the staging area and harming the people directly below them in the staging area." Now, this was a different helicopter, different staging area. The first one was a Chinook run by the National Guard, and they ended up, after kind of getting pushed, apologizing and taking responsibility. This all kind of blacked out Black Hawk. There's still no answers for this. While the video shows that the hurricane disaster relief site was not totally destroyed by the helicopter's rotor wash, the video does show that multiple pop-up shelters and supplies were scattered by the helicopter. According to the TikTok user, the helicopter was unmarked, was piloted by masked persons. A social media user added, "Local PD came in and we've been trying to find and track their flight info to find out who and where they are and where they flew in from. Nothing, they're ghosts." In a caption on TikTok video, the user also claimed that the helicopter incident occurred shortly after two mysterious vehicles circled around their disaster relief site. 40 minutes prior to this, two unmarked black SUVs running blue lights rolled in, circled around, and immediately left, the user stated. They were not local law enforcement, not anyone we had been affiliated with. Here's some of the video. I don't know why they do this, so they don't. I don't know why they put the gay music. So it comes in low, like it wants to land in their parking lot, or they're starting to get hit with rotor wash. See, they're blowing all their supplies, equipment, stuff all the tents and boxes all over the place, because they come in low and kind of hang out there. Like they're checking out like they're surveilling the area. Like they have no intention of landing. They're just like spotting all of them and what they're doing, and then they take off. Oh, our speaker's dying now too. All right, and then it eventually makes its way out after doing damage in the lot there. Okay, so let's move on here to. I got stuff for the news show for tomorrow. So, in finishing up here, as far as the hurricane damage and stuff like that, we're going to go back to a little bit to the Maui authorities determined the official cause of the deadly blaze in Lahaina. Right? You remember this one? Cars were stuck on the road and they were burned. Houses and neighborhoods were burned down, and a whole bunch of information was coming out about, where was it, like energy weapons, space lasers targeting homes, targeting certain areas, whatever, all the rich people's and Oprah's house, they were all perfectly fine, but all the regular citizens all had their stuff damaged. This was some video from that originally. We'll try and go back to it here for a minute. So while the stupid commercial's going, so Maui, Hawaii officials have released a report outlining the cause and origin of its devastating Lahaina wildfire last year that claimed at least 102 lives and caused significant damage. The Maui Fire Department, with help from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or what does the ATF have to do with fires and explosives? Let's see if we can. This is a helicopter surveying some of the damage in Lahaina. Okay, so the Maui Fire Department, with help of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, determined that the fire on August 8th, 2023, that started from a single source, electrical lines. However, authorities have said the incident unfolded in two distinct stages. On Wednesday, Maui Fire Chief Brad Ventura, Assistant Chief Jeffrey Geiza, and ATF Seattle Field Division Special Agent in Charge Jonathan Blaze presented the findings at a news conference in Wailuku. The origin and cause of the Lahaina fire is clear. The re-energization of broken power lines caused sparks that ignited unmaintained vegetation in the area, Ventura said. According to authorities, the fire began at 6:34 a.m. near a utility pole in Lahaina Luna Road. Sparks from re-energized broken power lines ignited dry vegetation. Firefighters said they were able to maintain the blaze by 9, with no signs of remaining flames, smoke, or burning material. However, despite extensive monitoring and resource development, undetected embers from the morning phase reignited at 2:52 p.m., fueled by strong winds, marking the start of the destructive afternoon phase. We want to make it abundantly clear to the community that our firefighters went above and beyond their due diligence to be as confident as they could be that the fire was completely extinguished before they left the scene. Well, apparently not, according to your story. Maui Assistant Chief Jeffrey Geiza said. The official cause of the fire is classified as accidental, officials said. Mahalo to the team from ATF for bringing their expertise in Maui to assist us with extensive investigation into the fire. Maui Mayor Richard Bison said they have dedicated hundreds of staff hours to the collection and review of evidence to provide us with a comprehensive report. The full report can be found on the County of Maui and the ATF websites. So my question for all of you is, do you believe him? Do you think it was a down power line where the firefighters put out the fire and they missed a couple of embers despite being thorough, according to the investigators' own words? They were thorough in searching to make sure there was nothing left, but despite that fact, they missed embers anyway. And then it spread and burned, half the freaking island. I mean, put your tinfoil hat on if you feel comfortable with it. I don't buy it. And I think it was something else. I think this is the official bullshit. I think it's the official bullshit report in order to explain away the whole thing, so for everyone to believe and move on. So there you go. He's just talking about the aftermath and people coming together to help each other. But I don't personally believe that it was an accident with a down power line that the fire department missed, despite doing a thorough job over it. And you guys let me know what you think too. Let me know in the comments or write into the show at reliefvalvepodcast@aol.com. That's the Milton update and the Lahaina Maui update as well. We're gonna have the shitbag roundup tomorrow. And I'll put something up for the show so you'll see what time I'm going to be on, because I'm still trying to figure out my day for everything. We got a lot to catch up with, including the 60 Minutes disaster for Comrade Kamala, Biden promoting his idiot DEI hire and giving her an extra job, and just and then the fallout for the Kamala regime, where they're starting to lose in the polls, and they're even breaking out Barack Hussein Obama to come and talk some shit to everybody and tell them, because you're black, you have to vote for this half black, half Indian woman. But there you go. I'll see everybody for the shitbag roundup tomorrow. All right. Thanks everyone. Please like, share, and support the show and help us keep growing. All right. And we'll see you again soon.